So today we are beginning the process of understanding worship. For those who do not know, there's a book called How to Worship a King, written by Zach Neese. He is the guy who wrote the song Alabaster Jars. Alabaster jars, all I have a word. Take it out your feet, Lord. If I was a real black pastor, I would have been like, this alabaster jar is all I have. And then like the organ pipes up, you know? All I have of word. Like, did you finish that word or did you say word? Anyway, Zach Neese was for a time, I don't know if he still is, the worship pastor at Gateway in Dallas, where Carrie Job started. And so they came up together. He was the worship pastor there, and he wrote this book, How to Worship a King. And it is all about what true worship looks like. And so I read this book before we started Oasis, probably, I think that summer, maybe 2016, 2017, somewhere in there, and changed everything for me. I think it was 2016 because we were still doing, like, we'd started doing things at the Vine because of this book. And so I love it. I love what he has to say about the tabernacle and how he just explains what all of it is and how we today can use it, how Jesus exemplified it, how we can actually use the process every day in our lives to get to Jesus. And so in the times past where we have taught this series, I put a lot of emphasis on like how we do as a church. And I think this time around, we're going to put more emphasis on how we can do this as individuals, because naturally you're going to see how it looks at Oasis. But I need you to get it for you, because that is legitimately where life change happens. Us getting to Jesus as individuals, and then the rest will happen from there. So, worship, what it is, why we worship, how to worship. We'll look back at the Israelites, the blueprint that God gave them for worship. We'll look at how Jesus lived it and represents every piece of the tabernacle. And we will look at how we as a church do service and why we do service the way we do service. So for all of those who have been like, what is this holy place time that Rayford talks about at the end of every sermon? This series is going to explain that. And then most importantly, getting it for ourselves. So let's jump in and get to it. Oh, let me turn it on. There we go. What is worship? Anybody got any answers before I click the slide? Go, what you think? Just yell it out. There are no wrong answers. Whatever you're gonna say is enveloped in what we're gonna say. So just say it. Throw it at me. Say it. Go. Focused time. Focused time with Jesus. I like it. Sacrifice. Good. Anybody else? Huh? Praise. Obedience. Dang. Y'all like giving him glory. Yes. All of these things are included in worship. In today's English, we describe worship as the act of showing reverence and adoration for a deity, which is why it makes sense when you think about worship music or a worship service or a worship night. We are all going to show up collectively and we are going to adore and reverence God. We are going to worship. Right? That makes sense. Zach Neese goes back to the Old Testament and further in the New Testament, and he says when we look at worship, that word actually means to bow down. To bow down in the Old Testament is the most used word or definition of worship in the Old Testament, to bow down. And in the New Testament, to lay prostrate. He says so in the Old Testament, where it's one part where it's already a little bit uncomfortable to just bow down. In the New Testament, you're laying flat now. You're doing more than kneeling in the description of the New Testament. Also, to humble yourself, sacrifice, like Vic said, submitting my will to God's will. So with that in mind, and I needed to start this series with that, everything that we are doing is being framed by this as worship. To bow down, to lay prostrate, to humble myself, to submit unto God's will. It is the posture of my heart, and that is what worship is. When I actually take the time to bow down before him. So, dang, that's already good. Let's go. So how does the tabernacle? That's the question. I got questions to answer as we go along because this is heavy stuff. So what does the tabernacle have to do with worship, and how does worship through the tabernacle happen? I will explain to you. So the tabernacle itself is a tent, number one. 2, it is a process to access a holy God. And 3, it is a path of worship. So we're going to break all these down so we can have a proper understanding. Ose's from the UK, and they say proper all the time for things that don't necessarily need the word proper in front of them. So I just felt cool. So I couldn't resist. Like, I did it, Anyway, so proper understanding of the tabernacle as we go through this today. If I'm moving too fast, please don't be afraid to stop me and say, hey, can you say that again, please? Because I'm like in teaching mode today. So I'm like, let's go. So the tabernacle, it itself, the physical part of the tabernacle is the tent of meeting, as it is called. The tent, that is where Moses, before the tabernacle was actually a thing, there was a tent. And Moses would go in the tent and he'd hang out, and all the people of Israel would like watch to see what was going on. And then Moses would come out and he always looked crazy because he was literally in the presence of God, So it was a physical tent. First and foremost, what we like to think when we think about the tabernacle is that it was their idea of a church service or a church building. That is not the case. I do want to make that clear. Like, the tabernacle and then later the temple itself was not where they had church. That was the synagogue where they met, they read scripture, so on and so forth. The tabernacle was a very specific thing apart from church service. That makes sense? Tracking? Okay. So the tabernacle is a process to access a holy God. And this is where things get real heavy, real fast. To understand why we need the tabernacle or why we need, or the purpose of worship, we have to understand that first and foremost, God is holy. Jackie Hill Perry a couple of weeks ago, maybe last week, said, when we as Christians go and talk to people about Jesus, she said, we start in the wrong spot. We tell people, hey, you are a sinner who needs to be saved by grace. Let me tell you about Jesus. She said, but outside of God being holy, you don't actually understand what sin is and why you are that and why you don't need it so that you can get to this holy God. She says, God is holy. He is perfect. He is righteous. He is just. And when I actually look at him first, I then know and understand that he's the greatest thing that will ever happen in my life. And so, because of that, there are things that I need to do to make sure that I can actually access this holy God. So guys, when he says like there is no darkness in him, there are tons and tons and tons of stories in the Old Testament where people get too close. They get too close to the presence of God and they're done. In Exodus, they're at Mount Sinai. God says, consecrate the people, set them apart, clean them up. I'm going to come down the mountain and I'm going to show up. I'm going to meet the people. And what happens? Thunder, lightning, the ground is shaking because literally the physical earth cannot handle itself the glory of God. What makes you think that you can just go to God? Well, Jesus, yeah, but you better come correct. And this process is going to show us that God is legitimately holy. We cannot just step in any way we want to, just mentally, heart, any of that. We cannot just do because Jesus died and the Holy Spirit is living in us. They do their part, but we have to do our part. And our first step is realizing and understanding that God is holy. That makes sense. Tracking? Yes. Crazy part about this is the holy God wants to spend time with us. Rafer, how do you know that he wants to spend time with me when I am the sinner? Guys, go back to the Garden of Eden. It didn't say that he made the earth and the animals and all the things and he was kicking it with them. No, it says he made Adam and Eve. And he was hanging out with Adam and Eve in the cool of the day, kicking it, hanging. How cool is that? God himself. And I know Adam and Eve get such a bad rap for bringing sin into the world forever. Gosh, that sucks. But there was a time that in their natural physical bodies, they were just as holy as God was. Again, not on their own account, because God created them. But as long as they held up their end of the relationship, they stood there holy with God and they could just hang out with him. And we look at that and we go, that's so far-fetched. That's so far off of what I know and understand. That's because we don't talk about a holy God who wants to hang out with us, who wants to spend time with us, who wants to get to know us. Well, Rafer, God knows every hair on my head. I know a guy who said that one time. Well, why do I need to? God knows everything about me. I go, well, if that's the case, then why did David write the Psalms about what he felt? My wife knows a lot of things about me, but if I just don't talk to her, all y'all in here would be like, I know you're the pastor, but you should say some words to your wife. A little, like some of them. We know each other, but there's still communication that needs to be had. And God says, yes, I created you, but just like a father with a child, I want to know what's up with you. Now I know what's up because y'all teenagers. I know y'all don't want to talk to me, but let me know what's up. The door is open. I delight in the things that you delight in. Share with me. Let's do this. God wants to hang out with us. He actually says when they build a tabernacle, build this tabernacle so that I can dwell in the middle of the people. God has all of heaven, people like beings worshiping him 24/7. And he said, I want to be among the people. That is where my joy is. I want to hang out with them. And that has not changed over time. So if God is holy and he wants to hang out with us, guess what? We need to be holy. We need to be holy so that we can hang out with him. And I wrote it down because Jesus already told me what y'all was going to think when I said that. Rafer, I'm not holy. I cuss at people. I eat too many Oreos sometimes. You know what I'm saying? My kid's crazy and I get mad at them. People cut me off. I give them the middle finger. I am not holy, believe me. Sometimes I drink a little too much. I'm not good with my finances. The list goes on. And that is where we stop. We stop and we go, oh, God is holy, but he wants to hang out with me. But I can't hang out with God because I am not holy. And we never ask the question of, how do I get there? How do I get to a place where I can do this every single day, where on my way to work, I don't even listen to music anymore because I know that God is sitting in my passenger seat and we having conversations. How do I actually get there to where my life as a Christian It's something that I'm living every day, not because of my own power, but because of that holy God who hangs out with me. We stop at the fact that we are not holy instead of asking the question of how can I become? How can I stay in that place? God gives us a path of worship to keep us holy. And that's what this series is about. I'm so pumped. So the tabernacle is a path of worship. It allows us, like I said, to become and to stay, if we choose to stay holy in God's eyes. So with worship being the act of bowing down or the act of laying prostrate or submitting to his will, when I do these things, I will be seen in God's eyes as holy, righteous, and clean. Again, none of these things I can produce on my own. We know that. We went through a whole series about God's righteousness. It is something that he creates. It is something that he puts on me. It is something that, yes, he demands it, but it is something that he gives only because we cannot create it within ourselves. So when I follow this path, literally, there is nothing that can stand in the way of the holiness that God wants to, again, put on me. I want to make that clear. This is not earning your holiness. This is making sure that I do my part in the relationship so that he can give me the holiness that he is only going to demand because I can't do it myself anyway. That makes sense? Okay. So how does this tabernacle work? How do we know that it will work? How do we know that this process or this path to worship is something that God is actually going to honor if I do it in my everyday life? Hebrews chapter 8, verses 1 through 5, it says, "Now the point in what we are saying is this. We have such a high priest, one who is seated at the right hand of the throne of the majesty in heaven, a minister in the holy places, in the true tent that the Lord set up, not man. For every high priest is appointed to offer gifts and sacrifices. Thus, it is necessary for this priest also to have something to offer. Now, if he were on earth, he would not be a priest at all," talking about Jesus, "since there are priests who offer gifts according to the law." Verse 5 says, "They serve a copy and shadow of the heavenly things. For when Moses was about to erect the tent, he was instructed by God, saying, 'See that you make everything according to the pattern that was shown you on the mountain.'" So the writer in chapter 8, the book of Hebrews is all about how legit Jesus is from top to bottom. And how without Jesus, it is a letter written strictly to the Jews saying, yo, Jesus is for real it. And let me show you from a Jewish standpoint why and how Jesus is it. So in chapter 8, he gets to talking about how Jesus is the great high priest. We will get into the high priest and what all that means later. But he says the tabernacle was a copy and a shadow of heavenly things. The tabernacle was a copy and a shadow of heavenly things. So God did not make something up for the Israelites to have something to do in the wilderness. God took the blueprint of what was already happening in heaven and said, yo, this is how things work here. I'm going to give you a physical earthly representation so that you can do on earth as it is in heaven. How tight is that? So literally, if in heaven, the path of worship is what we see here through this series, duh. If God literally said, yo, this is how you access me, here it is. We have a full blueprint that God has already given, and we're walking around in the dark going, but I can't, but Jesus, I don't hear him. 50 Cent said, I try to talk to God, but he don't say nothing back. And I was like, well, 50, you're not walking the process of the tabernacle. He gave us a blueprint, bro. I didn't say that to him, but like I think it when I hear the lyric, you know? So literally, if God gives the blueprint himself and says, this is how you access me, this is how you cleanse yourself, this is what is going to work so that I can actually meet with you, why wouldn't I do that? Further, in chapter 9, he talks about the priests, their duties, how they had to do all these things to access God. But because of Jesus, we don't have to do all those things physically. Because of Jesus, all those things now only move to the spiritual. They move to my heart posture. They move to how I live this life with Jesus every single day. So let's jump into how the tabernacle actually worked. And this is where the priests come in. In Exodus 19, verses 5 and 6, God says, now therefore, if you will indeed obey my voice and keep my covenant, you shall be my treasured possession among all peoples, for all the earth is mine. Verse 6, and you shall be to me a kingdom of priests and a holy nation. These are the words that you shall speak to the people of Israel. So the plan originally was for the nation of Israel to be a nation of priests. So let's go back to the Garden of Eden. God is holy. He wants to hang out with us, so we need to be holy, right? We know and we understand that. Jesus lined this up real good, man. Dang. I'm like, oh, dang, that just worked. It was like putting a train set together. It was like, click, you know? Anyway, so God is holy. He wants to hang out with us. We need to be holy. So God chooses Abraham. He chooses Abraham. Yo, you are going to have all these kids. I mean, not you, but you get it. Father of many nations. He gives him this promise. A promise he never even saw. That's a different sermon. He giving you promises. Can you just trust him in the promise, regardless if you see it or not? Not the sermon of the day. But that's good. Tweet that one out for me, please. I'm not on Twitter. I sound like my dad. Let's move on. So God says, I want an entire nation of priests. Could you imagine the entire nation of Israel doing what God wanted them to do, which was to go out into the world and bring people back into relationship with him? Because God, who is holy, wants to hang out with us. Not Jews, not Christians, his children, human beings. So it was supposed to be an entire nation that as they took over land, they were going to bring people into relationship with God the Father. That makes sense? We track him? This is what happens. While they're waiting for Moses to come down from Mount Sinai, he's bringing the 10 Commandments. They're waiting. It's 40 days. And the Israelites legitimately are like little kids, man. They're like, okay, yeah, we're ready to meet God. God starts coming down. No, it's too much. Moses, you talk to him. Moses is like, cool, I'll talk to him. Moses goes up to the mountain. 40 days. They're like, when is Moses coming back? Moses, right now, when are you coming? You know, they're freaking out. One guy's like, I know what we can do. One guy, it was one guy. Hey, in Egypt, they used to worship these golden calves. Let's make one and we can offer, and it actually says, we can offer our sacrifices and praise unto God for delivering us out of Egypt. So Aaron, number 2, Aaron, this dude was like, that's a good idea. That's a really good idea. Let's make this golden calf so we can worship it unto God. So then Moses comes down the mountain. They're having this party and they're just like singing, what a beautiful name it is, to this golden calf. And God actually says to him, go get your people. I love that Moses and God had this back and forth. God says to Moses, go get your people, essentially because they're tripping. And Moses like, my people, you chose them. I didn't. You remember burning bush? Like I didn't. They're your people. And then God's like, okay, cool. I'm gonna go kill everybody. Moses like, wait, no, okay, I'll go talk to him. Relax. Okay, I'll do it. I got it. Okay, I'll be back. So Moses comes down the mountain and he goes like angry dad, where he's like not really angry, but he just got to make sure the kids know that he's angry. Takes the 10 Commandments, boom, and everybody's like, oh, Moses is mad. We should not have done this. Oh no. And then he says, who is on the Lord's side? Because we need to cleanse the camp of the evil that is taking place here. And literally, you guys, verse 25, chapter 32, it says, when Moses saw that the people had broken loose, for Aaron had let them break loose to the derision of their enemies, then Moses stood in the gate of the camp and said, who is on the Lord's side? Come to me. And all the sons of Levi gathered around him. And he said to them, thus says the Lord God of Israel, put your sword on your side, each of you, and go to and fro from gate to gate throughout the camp, and each of you kill his brother and his companion and his neighbor. And the sons of Levi did according to the word of Moses. And that day, about 3,000 men of the people fell. And Moses said, today you have been ordained for the service of the Lord, each one at the cost of his son and of his brother, so that he might bestow a blessing upon you this day. This is the God that we don't like talking about. But remember that part, God is holy. We don't know until way in the New Testament in Romans that the wages of sin is death. We don't know that yet. But guess what? The wages of sin is death still. So God says, yo, go tell them who's with me. And so just the tribe of Levi, they're the only ones. Out of 12 tribes, they're the only ones. We will stand with the Lord. 12 tribes, they were the only one. So this is where we get the Levitical law, the book of Leviticus, the Levites as the priests, because they legitimately were the only ones who said, we will do this with you. We will stand on the side of God. We will go and do as you intended for us from the beginning. So there was supposed to be an entire nation of priests. An entire nation. Just think, if each nation, each tribe, if they had 100,000 people, that's 200,000 people. Priests. If all of them had said, yeah, you know what, we will, and we'll just take care of the guys, cool. So where the nation was supposed to go and save the world, the Levites had to start saving the nation of Israel. That's crazy, huh? I love background. All this is background for the series. We're not even jumping in yet. So what were the priests supposed to do? The Levites. In Numbers chapter 1, verses 47 through 53, God says, but the Levites were not listed along with them by their ancestral tribe. For the Lord spoke to Moses, saying, only the tribe of Levi you shall not list, and you shall not take a census of them among the people of Israel. But appoint the Levites over the tabernacle of the testimony and over all its furnishings, over all that belongs to it. They are to carry the tabernacle and all its furnishings. They shall take care of it and shall camp around the tabernacle. When the tabernacle is set out, the Levites shall take it down, and when the tabernacle is to be pitched, the Levites shall set it up. And if any outsider comes near, he shall be put to death. The people of Israel shall pitch their tents by their companies, each man in his own camp, and each man by his own standard. But the Levites shall camp around the tabernacle of the testimony, so that there may be no wrath on the congregation of the people of Israel. And the Levites shall keep guard over the tabernacle of the testimony. So their first job was to take care of the tabernacle. Take care of the utensils, clean them, take care of the curtains. When it's time to move, they were the ones that were folding everything up. When it was time to stop, they were the ones who were unfolding everything and hanging everything up, making sure it was perfect according to what God had intended. Their first job was to steward the temple. Set the table. That's why I said it last night. Set the table. It was their job to make sure that the tabernacle was ready when God wanted to dwell in the middle of the people. When God wanted to meet and hang out with the people, it was the job of the Levites to make sure everything was ready for God to meet with the people. In How to Worship a King, he likens it to, and I'll get there later, but he likens it to a waiter at a restaurant. The Levites were there just to make sure that God and the person he's on the date with went how it was supposed to go. He said the waiter doesn't show up and flirt with your girl. And if he does flirt with your girl, I got a twisted tea on me that I'm ready to take this dude out with. Y'all seen that video? It's crazy. Anyway, he says the waiter is not the one who gets the glory for the evening. I thank him for helping me with this night, but you are not why I'm here. I'm here to sit across those blue eyes and look at them all night while she eat pasta. That's what I'm here for. I'm here to watch this girl blush when I go, dang, girl, you love you some pasta. I don't need the waiter showing up going, yeah, girl, you do love some. Sit down somewhere. Go get me some water or something. I'm here with my lady. And the best waiters, we know and understand that, are the ones who are just enough. They're not asking too many questions. Okay, let me know if y'all need anything. And your night goes very well. That is what the priest's job was when it came to stewarding the tabernacle. God wanted to meet with his people, and the priest just needed to be the ones who said, I will assist in making sure that the date goes well. That's all I'm here for. What else were they supposed to do? Dang, we're getting heavy. Deuteronomy chapter 10, verses 8 and 9 says, God says, at that time, the Lord set apart the tribe of Levi to carry the ark of the covenant of the Lord, to stand before the Lord, to minister to him, and to bless in his name to this day. Therefore, Levi has no portion or inheritance with his brothers. The Lord is his inheritance, as the Lord your God said to him. So God gives the Levites the job of carrying the presence of God. He gives them the job of carrying the Ark of the Covenant. Gives them the job of carrying the Ark of the Covenant. They are the only ones who can carry the presence of God. They are the only ones who are qualified to touch the poles that would carry the presence. They were the only ones that were qualified, literally. Even when the Ark of the Covenant is on a cart and it's falling off, and homeboy reaches out to save it, doing a very good deed. Oh God, you're going to fall. Instantly died. That's how serious it was for them to carry the presence of God. What comes with carrying the presence of God? I can see the pillar of the cloud. I can see the fire at night. So when God says, hey, we're moving this way, I, as a priest, a Levitical priest, okay, God's over there, let's go. Oh, he's stopping. This is where we need to set up the meeting place. He wants to meet with us. Okay. I am attentive as a Levite to where God is going and what he wants to do when he gets there. They were charged with carrying the presence. Move when he moves. Stop when he stops. Second, to minister to God. What? Rayford, that doesn't make any sense. We get ministered to. The people. We are the ones who are blessed. I was blessed today. I was ministered to from the Lord at church. This throws all of that out the window. The job of the Levites was to minister to God. What does that actually mean? It means to attend to the needs of someone. Real quick, sidebar. Preachers who introduce themselves as minister whatever. The moment you do that, I'm saying that like y'all all preachers in here. The moment that you introduce yourself as a minister because you want somebody to know your title is the moment that you are not attending to the need of someone else. That is a word of humility, not a title that I need to let people know this is who I am. Please keep your eyes and ears open for those who do that. To minister is to attend to the needs of someone else. Not a church title that I carry because the Lord has given. No. So if they were to minister to God, God doesn't even have any needs to attend to. Obviously, he does. He wants to meet the people. He wants to hang out with them. And he needs people to help the people meet with him. He needs people who are going to be ready to help the people. He needs people who are going to walk this process themselves so that they meet with God, so that they can actually help other people meet with God. That's what he needs if he needed anything. They were to minister to God. Again, the waiter situation. God is being attended to by the Levites for the sake of relationship. And finally, to bless the people in his name. To bless the people in his name. He says a blessing is not just something that makes people feel good. He being Zach Neese in the book. He says the blessing is something that will actually catalyze your destiny. So when I look at you in your face, and I say, I hope that you have a good day. I don't just hope that your day goes well. I believe that when I speak to you and I go, y'all have a good day, that your day in that moment, that you skyrocket, whatever that may look like. For some, it may be like I had dessert tonight and today was a really good day. Catalyzing destiny. It's bigger than just making people feel good for the moment. I need you to know and understand that when I see you, God, I see you how God sees you, as much as he will allow me. So in that moment, that every word I speak is on purpose. Every word that I say is on purpose. He said to bless the people in his name. What does that look like? That means God has given the authority to the priests to now speak life into the people. You now get to do this with me. It's like the mom telling the 4-year-old to go tell whoever else that is older than the 4-year-old to come in the room because X, Y, and Z. The 4-year-old goes in the name and the authority of mom. Hey, dad, mom said, boom, 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 boom. And what does dad do? Get up and go to talk to mom. Because of the authority, not because the 4-year-old. This is going to hold on to that. Hold on to that, please. Why does all this matter? I tricked y'all because this is where the responsibility comes in. I'm so happy right now. 1 Peter chapter 2, I can't even stand here. Says it like this, verse 4, as you come to him, you today, Christians, as you come to Jesus, a living stone rejected by men, but in the sight of God, chosen and precious, You yourselves, like living stones, are being built up as a spiritual house to be a holy priesthood. Write that down. To offer spiritual sacrifices acceptable to God through Jesus Christ. For it stands in Scripture, behold, I am laying in Zion a stone, a cornerstone chosen and precious, and whoever believes in him will not be put to shame. So the honor is for you who believe, but for those who do not believe, the stone that the builders rejected has become the cornerstone, and a stone of stumbling and a rock of offense. They stumble because they disobey the word, as they are destined to do. A lot of times Christians will stand on that and go, yeah, that's why they're... And we forget to go, I stumble because I do not obey the word. It's a stumbling block for me when I do not obey the word. That's not the sermon. That's just jumped out right now. Verse 9, he says, but you are a chosen race, a royal priesthood, a holy nation, a people for his own possession, that you may proclaim the excellencies of him who called you out of darkness into his marvelous light. Once you were not a people, but now you are God's people. Once you had not received mercy, but now you have received mercy. You guys, when we come to Jesus, guess what? We come to Jesus to now fulfill what God had intended from the beginning. Holy God wants to hang out with us. God gets the bright idea. I will choose an entire nation to go and save the world. Because Adam and Eve jacked it up. So I'm going to choose a whole nation. Then that whole nation jacked it up. So I'm going to take this one tribe. The one tribe still jacked it up. And then Jesus says, I will make it right. Jesus comes down. Y'all know the story. Hung on a cross, bled, laughed at, spit on, beat up, the whole nine, ultimate sacrifice, so that now we, y'all, today, us, me, everybody here, right now today, can come to Jesus so that we can hang out with God. That's crazy. Why did Jesus come to die? Because we could not hang out with God the Father on our own. We needed Jesus' blood to cover us so we can hang out with God the Father. How tight is that? Jesus in the garden freaking out. Everybody's like, oh, he doesn't want to go to the cross. No, he does not want his relationship with the Father broken. Jesus said, he didn't say I don't want to die. Jesus didn't want to take on sin because his Father would not be able to look at him. His Father wasn't going to be there. And he said, I cannot handle the idea of not hanging out with my Father. But if this is what I have to go through so everybody else has the chance, oh my God, the chance. The chance. The chance to hang out with Dad. Jesus literally did the hard work, and we standing here going, but I can't, I don't hear him. He's not talking to me right now. I'm listening. Jesus literally died so we can walk this path, man. And further, to help other people get to Jesus. We are the priests. This whole thing flips on us today, right now. We are the priests. We are the chosen nation. We are the ones that as we come to Jesus, we go, oh, this is great. Let me help you get to greatness. How many times that you've done something that you loved and you share it with somebody else? Hey, Oreo, they got this thing where it's a hook. You can put your Oreo on it. You don't have to get your fingers wet. You just hold it in there, and then you take it out and you can eat it. You need it. Believe me. We tell everybody about all the goodness that we find in our lives. Eat there, go see this movie, watch this show, do these things. Get these earbuds, get these. Oh, I stopped doing that because I found this one, it was better. He said it is our job now as the priests. So remember, the tabernacle was something that was moving. So guess what? It is my job to carry the presence of God where God is going. So now my everyday life does not look like I'm just kind of, okay, Lord, whatever you have for me today. No, now I'm looking for where God is going. And when I tell you, you can see the moments come from a mile away. Sarah Williams sitting right here, right now. Her husband, Jason, I work with him. I work with this dude, and for the longest time, I could see it a mile away. God is like, this is the meeting I want to be in. Set the tabernacle up, Rafer. Okay. Rafer, you're the priest. This is where I'm going. This is where I'm going. So I need you to talk to him and just let me do what I do as you just go to work. You just do your thing. Yeah, go do whatever, set the sim up. I don't even know what you do. I'm like, God, you don't know my job? He's like, I don't care. I'm here for Jason. I'm here for them. So then, because I carry the presence and I know that I'm carrying the presence, I'm looking. So even on the week that I go off on him, clear off, I was like, Jesus, you can take this presence. Did you hear his question? I'm going clear off. And then Jesus checked me. I had to apologize. But then his whole family shows up. They got like 12 kids. It's four of them. His whole family shows up. Everybody gets baptized. Everybody. Could you imagine if I'm only going to work and I don't understand that I am carrying the presence with me? As a priest, I don't understand that it is my job to look and see where God is going. You see it from a mile away when the person walks up and goes, so let me just tell you what happened. I'm like, okay, God, okay, cool. Let me set the table. Let me set it up. Because God is about to meet with them because I know I am carrying the presence. It becomes now my job to look and see where God is going. It is now my job to make sure that I minister to God every day. We call it Christian duty. And then we water it down to like, don't get mad at people, don't drink, don't smoke, like don't have sex with people you're not married to, and like don't kill people. And we're like, I'm a good Christian. I'm not doing that. And we just leave it at that. No, I need to minister to God. I need to do the things that bring him joy. Remember presenting yourselves as instruments of righteousness? If I am one carrying the presence and looking for him where he is, guess what? Naturally, I'm going to be aware of the things that I say to people. Naturally, I'm going to be aware of how I treat people. Naturally, I'm going to be aware of how I present myself as a priest who is carrying the presence of God. It changes everything. I need to minister to God. This up here right now is not between me and you. This is between me and him. That's why I have to take the jacket off. Because it's between me and him, this. Once the words come out, that's now between you and him. It is our job to minister to God. I was going to say, I don't care about y'all, but like, I care about y'all, but like, I don't care because like, it's about him. Because it is about him, I care about you. You know what I'm saying? That's what it is. Thank you, Kent. He gave me a little sassy head nod, head shake. I don't care. I mean, I care because he cares, you know, but like, it's about me ministering to him. Yes, I get home at the end of the day. Hey, babe, how was church? You know, yada, yada, yada. But like on Monday, me and Jesus chop it up. Okay, Lord, where are we going? It is my job as the priest, lastly, to bless the people in his name. All year, I talked about how people don't like talking to Rafer when it's for real. Like when it's real time. People enjoy Rafer in like, hey, he's fun, he's great. Yeah. You're so dramatic. Marissa says that all the time. You're dramatic. I'm like, you dramatic. You dramatic, you know. Anyway, but it is my job to bless the people in his name and on his authority. To legitimately catalyze the destiny. So when I tell people, don't bring the story to me a second time. Because the second time, I'm about to catalyze your destiny. And if you don't want your destiny changed, don't come to talk to me about it. Because I am carrying the presence. I am here to minister to God and listen to what he tells me to say. I am here now to give you something that is going to flip the script for the rest of your life. Because once again, it is not about me and you. It is about me and him and what he has told me I need to do as the priest. When we talk about this whole thing of worship, the tabernacle, the process, this is my job. This is my duty. This is something that I will live every day. So if you are standing here going, well, I don't know how to do this or where to start or what's going to happen, this series is going to change all of that. That's what this series is for. Because the tabernacle process is the most optimal way for us to worship our way into time spent with God. So if you're looking at me going, well, I can't do that for people yet. You don't need to do it yet. Stay the course, and I guarantee you, we are going to show you how to do this every single day for yourself. Remember, I cannot show somebody a path that I am not walking down. Yes, I put the challenge on you right now. Carry the presence. Bless in his name. Minister to him. Because overall, as we go through this series, this is what you have to hold on to. This is where we're going. This year, Oasis legitimately is about to be lit on fire. Lit on fire. We are about to go crazy. And if we, as a church, are not ready to do this, we will stay where we are. And we're going to break all that down. Why? I go, not that other churches don't have Jesus, because every church, I fully believe, Jesus is there. To varying degrees, as much as humans will allow him to be. But you can find Jesus anywhere. I find him on Facebook and Instagram sometimes. You can find Jesus for real, for real. But I know for a fact, in how we at Oasis follow this path, that everybody can do this every single day for their own relationship with Jesus. You can carry the presence for yourself. You can bless yourself. You can minister to God for yourself. And if you don't believe me, I am living proof. There are too many times where I'm like, okay, I don't even know what to say. But Jesus, I'm going to walk this process and you're going to have to show me something. Because I know how to access you. And because I know how to access you, my life changes every single time. My life changes every single time that I choose to meet with you. What Christians want is we want life change that is going to be like, oh, I came to Jesus and now I walked outside after church. My trailblazer turned into a brand new whatever. Jesus is like, no, I'm here to show you how to talk to your wife with heavy situations. Okay, sure. I say it all the time. Christians don't want peace. We don't want joy. We want stuff. We want toys. But if you follow this process that we're going to teach, that we're going to walk through, that if you want to grab a book right now and start reading ahead, please do. But I guarantee you, in the moments where you feel and have felt that God is not there, you will know for a fact where I need to get into the process. What part I'm missing in the process, what part I am not doing, what part I am doing, I will know for a fact what parts I'm missing. So as we go into the holy place, talk to Jesus and prepare your hearts and minds, because it's going to be a roller coaster. I hope y'all ready. If you're not, here we are. Let's go into the holy place.